있어야 함.
we would take care of our
군단병이 공격받고 있음.
when we get comfortable. Maybe talk a bit over that. You can make a big
대군주 더 생성해야 함.
I don't find it very
대군주 부족함.
much better to deal with those things in intellectual conversation.
So that was the expected unexpected, because what I scouted, I expected their creep spread to be at a certain point and I used my creep spread as a reference, but then it was the unexpected where their creep was further advanced, but I took a hatchery at 17 supply, so why would someone's creep spread be further advanced than someone whose hatchery was taken at 17 supply? I will demonstrate this point for you now in the replay. This is not a random thing that I prepared with the earliest possible Baneling nest after the Ling speed and had my queens at the ramp. It was specifically related to scouting, but I muted myself so that I could focus on playing my best. So this is basically the story of how you identify the hatch first at a ridiculously early time into a cheese. Notice, this is 14 supply. I have 2 overlords and 14 drones to the opponent's 1 overlord and 14 drones. They have idle larvae here, I do not, and they're about to build a hatchery at 35 seconds into the game. Let's take a reference here at when I build my hatchery in the game. About 52 seconds. So this is a much earlier hatchery. Why would someone do this? If you take a hatchery at this time, as we saw earlier, you have idle larvae on the floor, which sets you behind in your potential for moving your income along. The difference is it allows you to pool up a bunch of larvae for a big speedling cheese. So how do you identify this? Because it is a hatch first build, but it's a cheese. Well, the secret lies in the path and the awareness of this first overlord. My first overlord goes here to check and see if the opponent took a base. And then we'll go to my vision here. I'm just taking my Ling speed, doing my stuff, make it, oh my goodness. This creep spread here is past this ramp threshold at the high part. Look at mine. It's not. It's like barely even reaching that point. Creep doesn't just grow out in a random way. It's a kind of gradual progression based on the time that the base has been there in the presence of creep tumors, you know? So we can see here that because there's more creep, I can make the inference that my opponent took their base at an early suboptimal time, which can be 2 things. Either my opponent did this in a planned way, where this was specifically to get more Lings out early, or they just made a mistake, a strange mistake. Usually it's better to expect your opponent to do the smart thing, or the thing that makes sense. Not always, but usually. So here I'm going to be defending. I'm going to be defending my hatch first against a hatch first because I have 23 drones against 15, and I have 2 queens. So all of a sudden, a huge swarm of Lings moves out from the enemy base, and it's not going to surprise me. I'm prepared because I saw the creep spread at the natural. Wow. My Baneling nest was made at the earliest time that I could after my Ling speed. And then I'm putting these in kind of an unexpected pocket over here. Because what my opponent wants to do with this cheese is to kill my queens, control the ramp, and then they have access to all my bases, and they can kill my new units as they're coming out. So instead of having my Banes behind the queens, I put my Banes in this back pocket corner of my natural, have more queens coming out, and then we're just going to smash the crap out of this cheese. Queens hold the door, Lings are behind, and then the Bane comes out, and then, wow, now it looks like we're in a very strong position, but there was a tight window where if I didn't have Banes, or if my queen was just exposed here and I didn't have the ramp, they could have taken the ramp from me and then killed my stuff and gotten on top of my Lings before I could morph Banes. So it's a very kind of snowball-y cheese defense, where if you stop the first part of it, they're basically toast. They're expecting to kill at least a queen and then control the ramp with this cheese against a hatch first build, but they didn't get any objective and it was even a bad trade. So now, I'm just doing the responsible thing and running over my opponent with greater numbers of Ling Bane over time. And more supply. So the opponent is getting a Bane nest, but there's only one queen, so I'm super far out in larva. The Banes are going in. The Lings are going in. And then it's just a terrible time for the opponent, and we win the game. So that's about it. Defending the hatch first, Speedling, Baneling, cheese. Cheers, suspicious. Great.